Alright. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to my reaction video of Cyberpunk 2077 Night City Wire 5. This is apparently their last episode.
Hello and welcome to Night City Wire episode 5.
Very excited.
The show for us at CD Projekt Red, where we talk about all things Cyberpunk 2077. Now we're going to start today's episode with a new trailer that will take a closer look at Johnny Silverhand, before we go behind the scenes with Keanu Reeves and have a chat to English adaptation director Boris, who will tell us exactly what it was like to work with him. Then we'll be exploring the original score and talking about some of the radio stations you might listen to while driving around Night City, before we take a look at the JALI technology, which is powering facial animation in Cyberpunk, and unveil a new My Reward scheme which anyone can take part in, no matter which platform you'll be playing Cyberpunk on. We'll then wrap up today's episode with a brand new gameplay trailer.
Very cool.
It's a busy episode, and it will be our final episode of Night City Wire before the game launches on December 10th.
That's so crazy.
So, let's get going.
I can't believe how close we are to the release date. I'm so hyped for this game. This is like my dream game. I'll talk about it a bit later.
Where'd you even come from? How are we even talking? Gotta get out of here, understand? And I'll kill anyone who gets in my way.
You weren't dreaming, V. Those were memories. You two are connected in a way I can't make head or tail of.
Who? Me and who, Vic?
Silverhand. Johnny Silverhand. Real talk of the town back in my day.
He died, like, forever ago.
You need to say there's an actual terrorist in my head. Right now.
He burned down half the city just to prove he was right. And burned the other half just for fun.
What do you want from me? Destroy Arasaka. I don't even know what that means. Do whatever it takes to stop him, defeat him, gut him.
He already tried to take over your body. You know, just for a little while.
It's hard to tell what's cinematic and what's gameplay though. So I'm glad they have like a gameplay trailer.
Just get the fuck out. Tell me how to get rid of it.
You don't have much time left.
You're a dick, you know. And you're a cunt. Maybe we'll fit together after all.
Some nice banter.
Sometimes we like to share things with you, and other times we like to keep secrets, and it can be worth it for that big reveal. Pretty sure nobody was expecting to see Keanu Reeves on stage at E3 2019. So let's go behind the scenes to see how Keanu Reeves brought rocker boy Johnny Silverhand to life. You could say it's breathtaking.
Cyberpunk 2077, Johnny Silverhand. I've had the opportunity to do voiceover a few times. I'd worked on a cartoon. I had done some documentaries. I'd never done this much.
Man, Keanu's
You
just
know you don't
involved in
gotta
so many
speak
things
out
these
loud
days.
to
It's
talk
good.
to me.
It's good for him.
And I've processed some shit. Changed my mind. Don't want you dead anymore. You know, and got to play a character in so many kind of different ways because of different paths or threads or choices. So you almost get to play one moment, say you have a decision. Would you take a bullet for it? With 3 different behavioral attitudes.
Dialogue and choices.
So that was fun. You know, Johnny's either a dick, or he's happy, or he's trying to convince. Know why? Because you've always been a fucking pussy, Carrie. So it's been fun, and that was kind of what I was interested in. You know, the different options that the game could play. You know, playing the same person, but with different versions of them.
I get what he's
Motion
saying.
capture,
We'll talk
baby.
about that a
Johnny
bit later too.
Silverhand. So one of the first elements that I was involved in with the game was motion capture. I've done a fair bit of motion capture. I did it with in the Matrix films. So to start doing the motion capture for Johnny,
Such
it was
an
all
iconic
very
movie.
familiar to me. The only difference, I think, technologically was how close they were going to real-time review. But creatively, it was very familiar in the sense of starting a library of gesture and the toolbox, let's say, for the animators to work with for the character. So you get to see Johnny as the rock star, you know, you hear about his military past, you know, and he's fighting for his survival. So he's kind of got all of these things leading into the moment of this guy. It's really a kind of an interpretation, because I think there's a Johnny Silverhand in all of us. He's got a lot of energy, he's got a good sense of humor, if not a little dark at times. He's very passionate, he cares, you know, it's, he's kind of naive, but he's also super experienced in life. He's got certainly an appetite for life.
Oh, man. No, you're wrong.
He wants to change the world, you know? He has a cause that he wants to fight against the corpocracy.
Come on. Don't tell me you're not interested.
He's kind of looking for a different kind of freedom.
Corps have long controlled our lives, taken lives.
MILF guard.
And now they're after our souls.
At least I believed in something bigger. At least I had a cause. What CD Projekt Red has shared with me in the way that they talk about the game and what I've seen is that it's got a lot of freedom. There's so many different paths that you can play the game on.
Yeah, that's
But
one
it's not
thing.
just quests of paths. It's like, who are you?
That's one
How
thing
do
that
you want to play the character?
If I gotta kill, I'll kill. If I need your body, I'll fucking take it.
You can go into action, you can go into mystery, you can problem solve in different ways.
I was really
And where you
surprised at
go
like
in this
just how
world,
expansive
there's so much
this
detail, there's so many
this
different
open
things
world
that you can go off into
became
that are
as the
really
game
interesting.
developed,
and
and the
fun.
more that was revealed to us.
There's a real drama to the game and emotional stakes to it, and then there's lighter sides to it, and of course the
Crazy.
music, production design, technologically, how cutting edge it is. I don't think there'll be a game that looks like this. Yeah, it's intense.
I take the driver, you get his side.
Bye-bye.
Before we get into what it was like to actually work with Keanu Reeves, was it always him that you imagined as Johnny Silverhand? Was there anybody else that you ever considered having for the role?
Yeah, Holly, it was a long, arduous, extended process to imagine what Johnny Silverhand is supposed to look like, what he's supposed to sound like, what he's supposed to act like. Everybody and their great-grandmother seemed to have an idea. And the process actually involved a lot of people. The game director, character artists, writers, marketing staff. I could go on. You know, we cast a pretty broad net initially. We considered actors. We considered enlisting actual rock stars, you know, band frontmen.
That
to
would
play
be
the role.
one of the
At one
hardest
point, we even
things
toyed with the idea
on a
of
project, I think.
taking and reviving a recently
That's why video
deceased,
games are so
longtime
special.
luminary of the recording industry. Now, some might say that it was a pipe dream to assume that we could do that technologically or otherwise. Well, I'll see you that pipe dream and raise you another, because one could easily say that it was a pipe dream to assume that we could successfully pitch to and ultimately enlist Keanu Reeves to play the role.
Now, I'm sure this is on everybody's mind right now, but what was it actually like to work with Keanu Reeves? Because even he said in the video, this was like nothing he'd ever done before.
A question that I'm sure anybody who gets to work with Keanu has to answer, and I get where it comes from. Keanu is a consummate professional. When he's at work, he's at work. He's completely and utterly focused. To that work, he brings his talent,
Yeah,
he
it's
brings
such a
his
good
art,
reputation.
his technical skill, and overwhelming charm. And yes, the scale and the complexity
seems like a good
were
person
and are dazzling.
by nature.
Non-linearities, the variation in attitude, mood, emotion that are required to achieve them, they can be difficult to get your head around. And if you take all of Johnny Silverhand's bits his screen time. It's like doing the equivalent of many feature film roles put together. And we covered all that in a handful of mocap sessions and under 24 VO recording sessions of 4 to 6 hours each. And that took focus, it took control, it took dedication, all of which Keanu provided in heaps.
So tell us a little bit more about the character of Johnny Silverhand and why he's important to the story, but also why it's important to have him played by such a powerful personality.
Okay, how do I do this without spoiling too much for gamers? In the broadest sense, I'd say Johnny Silverhand is a co-protagonist of the game rather than a sidekick. I mean, there are buddy bits in the game, but in the end, Johnny has an agenda and he pursues it, and V has an agenda and has to pursue that. And to get things done, V and Johnny have to work together. Some of the things they do are V's, and some of the things they do are Johnny's, and some of them are important to both of them. That bonds gamers, I think, to both characters. Both characters' agendas become equally important. Both characters' continued existence becomes equally important. For any gamer or viewer or reader, what you have to do
I think it's so smart
create
that they went this
bond
direction.
between them and the protagonist or protagonist. You have to make those characters
I don't want to talk too much over these people.
With that understanding,
I'll definitely
even
kind
when
of
they do something not entirely
outline my
say
thoughts
something,
at the end of this video.
You stay committed, you stay involved, you stay bonded to them. And there's no denying casting a powerful personality, somebody who exudes charm by the truckload, helps to further all that.
So Boris, can you tell us, what does Keanu bring to Johnny Silverhand?
What Keanu brings to Johnny Silverhand is nothing more and nothing less than Keanu. I could parse that into a string of adjectives, but I kind of think that would be borderline insulting because it wouldn't begin to do him justice. To anybody who's seen the applicable movies, Neo is Keanu, Keanu is Neo. John Wick is Keanu, Keanu
Yeah,
is John
that's
Wick.
true.
John Constantine, Johnny Mnemonic.
A lot of
Jonathan
people get
Harker,
typecast,
Johnny
right?
Utah. They're all Keanu. And
Yeah,
to anyone
yeah.
who will play Cyberpunk 2077, Johnny Silverhand.
It's kind of crazy how Keanu could be so
To my
many
mind, at least, star power
characters?
is a fact and an important factor for a broad
all at the
section
same
of the
time.
audience out there.
So can you give us more information about the process?
They made the right choice.
Right? Because we saw you in the video, doing some of it, but really, how does it work?
But I wish I could, Holly, but I'm really no mocap expert, and I can basically tell you what the day looked like, what the process looked like to me. To me, it was a fine day in LA, and I put on a wonky-looking bodysuit with globules all over it, and I put on the head cam, and then we proceeded to block and then play out scenes between V and Johnny, and we did it over and over and over again. As we did that, I must have poked Johnny in the chest hundreds of times, and I must have yelled "fuck off" at Johnny 35 times, well, I never expected to be doing any of that. No, I never imagined I'd be doing any of that.
Well, Boris, thank you so much for joining us. Your voice in the studio is quite iconic. So whenever I talk to you, I feel like I'm in a trailer. It's amazing.
It's not all that. It's not all that, Holly. Thank you.
Well, from Soviet-era synthesizers to body heat radio, it's time to explore the original score and just some of the radio stations you'll be listening to when you're driving around Night City.
I always thought this game was going to be very linear.
Score is the main vessel of emotions in both movies and video games, and Cyberpunk 2077 is no different.
It actually took us a long time to find the right color of the music.
Getting that sound together is almost as important as the actual look of the game itself, because music
sound is
really
underrated.
helping you feel this emotional connection.
Sound
to the
in
game.
general is underrated, but it's just something you hear naturally. You don't realize it until it's not there, or if it's just really bad.
So one of the main ideas was to take the cyberpunk genre out of the 80s and give it a 90s flair. We took elements from rave, IDM, industrial, and make them fit our narrative purposes.
We've decided that close to the 100% of our
game
music
looks
will be
insane.
purely
It
electronic.
looks so
That's why we
awesome.
tried to stick to analog synths as much as possible.
Visually,
so
just beautiful.
It's got a warmth to it.
I'm
Sick
super
studio.
proud of the team we've managed to gather for this project.
For me, it was basically
Look at those
my
wires.
personal aesthetic matching the aesthetic of the game. When I read the brief, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. I can be myself.
How do
I
you
can
even
make
know, like-
music, and it come from an honest place.
I love the fact
It's
that
crazy.
the music in this game is so varied. So we have some tracks that are super dirty, super heavy, and then we have some tracks that are very beautiful and ambient. I'm using all kinds of different effects. So it's been great to be able to experiment with the sound and the style.
It's my first time actually doing any drum tracking for a video game. It's been really exciting. It's been a lot of fun.
It's all about making you feel like a perfect killing machine, because that's what you are basically.
Well, I can do that all day long. So you'll just have to tell me what you like, and what you don't like.
Cool.
That's crazy.
It's not going to sound like one thing, depending on what part of the city you're in.
We basically scored every quest pretty much with custom assets created specifically for that quest.
We ended up having over 7.5 hours of music in Cyberpunk.
Working on Cyberpunk has just been insane. I can seriously say that I've never worked with such a bunch of mad people in my life, and mad brilliant.
The gear that we use comes out of boutique shops, or they are vintage synthesizers like this Polyvox.
That sounds so
I
sick.
really hope all this effort put into creating this score pays off with satisfying and enjoyable listening and gaming experience.
Yeah. Soundtracks are a big deal. Like, look at Killing Floor, Doom.
What's shaking Night City? Good morning, Night City! Your man, Stan here. Ooh, I love this town. Love it like you might love a mother who popped you out on the steps of an orphanage once and now stops you to ask if you got a smoke for her. And now, a shout out to all the lowlifes over at the Atlantis. Ladies and gents, here's that
Like, the
all-time
graphics
classic
look so
in
sharp
Night City.
and so crisp.
Soundtrack is one of the key elements we use to build believable world. We've invited artists from around the world, incredible talents, incredible musicians, to write and produce songs just for us for this project.
The soundtrack for Cyberpunk is insane. So the soundtrack being all the songs that they've got going on, whether it's on the radio or on the background, all these just amazing bands.
We've got over 150 custom genre-bending tracks, all waiting for you to discover them by yourselves.
You know, the reason I wanted to be a part of Cyberpunk is, well, basically I know The Witcher is super sick, and then I actually got to play a preview of the game, which was fucking incredible.
I've always wanted to do something connected to a video game, so I was pretty excited when this came in, and it was like an instant yes.
I was kind of imagining what it would be like being a character in that game.
Rat boy.
A person that's a musician in this world and this time has grew up in that space.
This isn't just some fun shit. There's also an intellectual and spiritual history to this world that's been constructed for you, you know?
We want to provide you with the soundtrack to fucking shit up. Like, how can you not want to be a part of that?
For those of you who can't wait to hear more from our composers, we're going to be releasing a special 6-track Cyberpunk 2077 EP featuring tracks from the game's original score onto streaming services for you to enjoy for free, and they'll be live at the end of this episode, so you can give them a listen later. In addition, if you're planning on live streaming Cyberpunk, or if you just want to make videos, we want to introduce you to a new mode that will allow you to disable certain copyrighted tracks.
What?
We know that for content creators, licensed music can sometimes be problematic.
Yeah.
So with this new mode, you'll be able to disable a small number of selected tracks which could cause some issues, replacing them with
That's
a
so
different
smart.
song, helping
they
to
just
avoid
think of
any
everything.
problems. If you're going to be live streaming from console, this will start automatically, but you can toggle it on and off in the options as needed. And for PC players, you'll be able to turn it on and off in the game options. Don't forget, as with all episodes of Night City Wire, if you're tuning in late or if you just want to watch anything again, we will be
consumer
uploading
friendly.
everything to our channels soon.
CD Projekt
Now,
Red.
from Polish to Chinese. When Cyberpunk launches, it will have VO in 10 different languages. So we're going to take a closer look at the JALI technology, which is ensuring each and every one is as authentic as possible.
To think they have to record all the dialogue that many times in different languages.
JALI Research in Toronto, Ontario. In this video, we're going to show
So
you
much work
a little bit
involved.
about JALI, the software, and JALI in action within the world of Cyberpunk 2077.
Maintenant, tu vas répondre à mes questions honnêtement, sans détour.
Rayfield's mine.
Скажи заплатить 2 раза, заплатишь 2 раза.
JALI is a suite of tools and a suite of services that result in what we think is the coolest and best and highest quality facial performance on characters.
Oh. Is that supposed to sound familiar?
It's automatically generated on
What?
a face based on
The audio.
dialogue, audio
That's
speech
crazy.
from a voice actor.
Slow, deep
Okay,
breaths.
yeah, I gotta talk about that later.
Cortisol and adrenaline spiked, but
That's
the soft
crazy.
activated your hormone blockers. Nothing happened. You're alive and well.
What JALI tries to do is it tries to get to the root of what is being expressed in the vocal performance and put that on a 3D character.
That's rogue.
On a technical level, that's
There is
crazy.
just an incredible amount of performance in this game.
Sure.
A procedural solution allows
Like
you
what?
to animate over and over and over again at tremendous scale. JALI is what powers every single character.
It's like real-time animation?
Cyberpunk
It's like
2077
automated?
in
Is
all
basically
of the
what they're
languages
saying?
that the game has been localized for.
Ahora escúchame bien. Este mierdas de Anthony Gilchrist. Es tu
I gotta
contacto.
talk about that later.
Zum Konvoi durchsickern lassen?
Speculation,
All you're doing is
obviously,
changing
but
an attribute. For example, speech style. If you wanted your character to shout instead of mumble, instead of issuing a set of commands that redo the animation, instead you click an attribute going from, in this case, mumble to shout.
But you walk. You breathe. But you walk. You breathe. But you walk. You breathe.
If the lip sync is right, you don't notice. If the faces match and match the performance, you don't notice because you're too busy paying attention to how awesome the game is, how much you care about these characters, how much, what you're going to do. And that's what we want. That to me is, that's the sizzle.
Don't you know you owe the sheriff a word when you pay his
yeah, because in games,
To tell him
they
what
animate
brought
in one language. They animate the characters' facial expressions in one language, right? And so if you play the game in a different language,
Now we're
sometimes
excited to reveal
it won't
digital
sync.
and in-game rewards for Cyberpunk 2077. It's our way of saying thank you for your support. Now, every copy of the game comes with digital downloadable goodies such as the art book, the original score, and a digital comic, all from the Cyberpunk universe. But there's more. You can also claim
But there's
in-game
more.
items for Cyberpunk 2077. For example, you could be rocking the Wolf School jacket
Oh,
for
shit.
simply connecting the game to your GOG account. And if you have other CD Projekt Red games, such as The Witcher or Gwent, you can get even more. And it works both ways. If you connect the game to your GOG account, you can also unlock special in-game items for Gwent, the Witcher card game, such as the samurai-inspired card and coin back, and the breathtaking title. Now, this new My Reward program is for everybody. No matter which platform you're playing Cyberpunk on, you'll be able to get your digital goodies and in-game items. Now, this is just the beginning, and there'll be more items coming in the future, and we'll have more information on My Rewards soon. As always, don't forget that if you've missed anything or if you just want to watch again, we will be uploading everything to our channels soon. So before we take a look at that new gameplay trailer, we just want to reveal that a number of games media from all over the world have been playing Cyberpunk 2077, and you'll be able to read their latest impressions when this episode of Night City Wire finishes, so you can go and check them out. So now, let's wrap up this episode and take a look at that brand new gameplay trailer.
Yeah.
They got a lock on us. Engine's been hit.
Get us out of here.
I'm losing control.
At CD Projekt Red, we dedicate ourselves to telling immersive
Just
stories.
visually, it looks so
Yet with every new
stunning.
project, we set out to make our games bigger, more complex,
They have everything in this game.
Come on, V. Let's get you home.
Cyberpunk 2077
Look at that.
marries exploration of a vast open world with kinetic combat, story-changing player choices, and robust character
They have
development.
everything.
All to bring you into our vision of the dark future.
You ever feel like the city doesn't give you a choice? You either burn alive in it, or you never existed at all.
The year is 2077.
They have, like,
An
every
economic
environment
crisis
possible.
culminating in nuclear conflict has left America in pieces.
Nuclear conflict, huh?
With most of the continent degenerating into lawless war zones, people from all over have converged on the already overcrowded Night City, one of the world's last great megalopolises. A hub amassing the best in resources and know-how, and home to manufacturers of cutting-edge technologies, Night City continues to offer the promise of a civilized future.
What? No, this isn't happening. Oh, but
It's like man-made
But in the
evolution.
city streets, a merciless struggle for power rages.
Augments,
Gangs,
synthetics.
corporate agents, hustlers, religious cultists, politicians, and all manner of criminals strive to outplay one another. Ordinary people get caught in the crossfire.
Looking for justice. In Night City. I seek revenge. Much more feasible here.
In this world, consumed by never-ending conflict, sometimes only an outsider will get the job done.
Elizabeth tells me you have answers for us. I'm all ears.
And that's you, an urban mercenary, a cyber-enhanced gun for hire.
You seem to understand each other. Take this, too.
As a mercenary, you swear no allegiance. You've chosen the outlaw life and trust that your abilities will carry you up Night City's ruthless, underground social ladder.
Heart of Night City. That's it right there.
To thrive as a merc,
Looks so
you need the
clean.
right combination
Looks so
of gear,
good.
skills, and reputation.
Dex had a load to say about you. I hope he wasn't overselling.
With the money you earn, you can turn yourself into a living
Whoa.
weapon, buying guns and
I hope there's
enhancements in the
depth to the
hundreds.
build system. Like a lot of depth. I hope there's a lot of different ways you can,
As you roam the city's streets, you gain the experience you need to upgrade abilities and acquire perks. Combine the right skills and gear to create a gunslinger with inhuman reflexes.
Yeah. Okay, they're pretty much just answering my
A
question.
stealthy netrunner with command of all surrounding tech. Or practically anyone in between.
Definitely gives the game like
In
replayability.
Cyberpunk 2077,
Try different builds.
you steal a prototype biochip that can set you up for life.
Being filthy rich.
When its sealed container is ruptured, the only way to prevent the biochip from failing is to slot it into your head. It turns out it contains the digitized soul of Johnny Silverhand, a dead rocker boy with violence on his mind.
You mean to say there's an actual terrorist in my head, right now?
He's out for revenge. Aims to bring down the megacorp that made the chip.
Do whatever it takes to stop him, defeat him, gut him.
What is in your head can shift the balance of power in Night City. The high and mighty will do anything to lay their hands on it.
Told you I'd end you someday.
The choices you make will shape your story and determine how events unfold.
V, you gotta take him down. That's why we're here.
But not everything in Night City is a matter of life and death. Sometimes it's about style, choosing your look, your ride, your pastime, who's at your side. Choosing how you spend your dirty money.
What? There is so much to do in this game.
Welcome to the next generation of open world adventure.
Yeah, no doubt.
Immerse yourself in Cyberpunk 2077.
Sick. December 10th. It's right around the corner. And that's it. Okay, so yeah, basically what so as we were watching that, I was kind of just jotting down some notes on like some talking points I wanted to basically just talk about that I didn't really get a chance to elaborate on during the video. I didn't want to like interrupt them or anything, but yeah, basically I really like how they're doing like a duo protagonist. Like, okay, so for example, there's some games that do like you're the sidekick to the actual protagonist, and I just feel like that doesn't really work well in some games because you have, I don't know, you just don't feel important. Like when you're playing a game, you want to feel like you're the main character, like you're the important one, or at least that's how I perceive it anyways. And when you play as the sidekick, I often feel like they only let you play as the sidekick so you can customize your character, while, you know, the protagonist is kind of there by your side and is the main person. So I really like how in this game they've made it so you are basically one with Johnny, because this allows you to customize your character while them still being able to create like a main character storyline and path. Take like Neo for example, the first Neo compared to the second Neo. The second Neo, fully customizable, you can create your characters, all that stuff. The first Neo, not so much, because they had you play as a specific character due to story, etc., right? So really smart, really cool on how they went about doing this, because you are technically one and the same person playing through it, but not the whole sidekick and partner deal, and while still allowing you to like customize your character and stuff. So I think that's really cool. The next point I wanted to talk on is like art direction and the teams. So like video games are so complicated, and honestly like video games are probably one of the most how do I say it, it's probably just like one of the most creative, it's probably one of the most creative expressions humans have achieved. It brings so many skills, so many talents together into one product, and I think it's highly underrated in that aspect. It just, video games are like the pinnacle of human creativity, and it takes such a crazy amount of work and organization and like teamwork to be able to bring this thing together. Because like think about it, when he was talking about like sound for example, or deciding on how Johnny was going to be the way he was going to be and who was going to be Johnny and stuff, can you imagine like a company, hundreds of people, you know, that's a lot of opinions, that's a lot of different ideas, views, expressions, and it takes one director to basically bring everything together into one idea, into one vision, and make sure that it's consistent with the product, so everything looks the same. Because you take 50, for example, you take 50 concept artists, so you take 50 3D modelers and tell them to model a tree, every single tree will look different. So it's really up to, you know, the directors to make sure that there's consistency, that things fit the world, fit the vision, and everything looks like it works together, you know? So there's just so much talent involved in every direction when it comes to video games. And I think that kind of segues nicely into my next point of just, you know, CD Projekt Red as a developer. They're so breathtaking. There's such a breath of fresh air in today's gaming world, let's call it, because, you know, I'm 30 now, so I've been playing video games for a while, for pretty much all my life, and watching video games evolve, I can't particularly say I'm too happy with kind of what it's become. There's a lot of, you know, publishers and companies out there that are predatory with the way they design their games. Lots of microtransactions, a lot of, you know, content that's just gutted out of a game so then they can resell it later after you've already purchased a product. It's just, I don't know, it definitely rubs me the wrong way, and I miss when games were just games that had like cheat codes. All the content was in the game. All you had to do was work for it. You had to play the game to unlock things, to unlock bonuses, like clothing and all that stuff. Or if there was, you know, if you had to purchase it in game, there was in-game currency that you had to work for and unlock these things. It wasn't just, oh, go spend $5 and you'll get it instantly. I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily, as long as, you know, there's restrictions. Like, obviously nobody likes pay to play or pay to win type of architectures. Like, if it's aesthetics only, then, you know, it's a fine line to be drawn. But anyways, without rambling too much about that, because that's like an entirely different subject on its own, I just have to give it to like CD Projekt Red, because they are like a defining developer. They're at the top of the bar. They set the standard for video games, you know, of today. They're upholding proper morals and values that I think more game developers should, you know, also be upholding. They seem CD Projekt Red is just focused on creating like a proper product, a fun product, a complete product, one that's worth your money, your value. It seems like their priority is on creating something amazing versus just about their bottom line or profits. And it's nice to see. It makes me, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels this way, but it makes me, you know, want to support them. It makes me want to buy the product. It looks amazing. I mean, it just, I feel like it's the right way to be, you know, running a business, to be creating video games moving forward. It's new, it's innovative, it's evolving, you know, the way video games play. Like they said, next gen, open world. It really does look like that, because looking at the gameplay trailers, looking at everything there, they have everything in this game. Like from Neo Tokyo Cyberpunk style, like downtown cityscapes, to like desert wasteland type, to like underwater, which kind of took me by surprise. I didn't like, this game's gonna be a full product. Like, there's gonna be endless things to do in this game, and to think it's coming out on December 10th is just, it's crazy. I can't even believe that. And then, yeah, basically, the next topic I didn't really get to elaborate on was that JALI facial animation with like the language. I thought that's really cool, because when animating in video games, especially with like voice and stuff, you know, from what it sounds like, I don't want to make too many, you know, guesses. Well, I'm probably going to be making a lot of guesses here, but it seems like this JALI system that they were describing basically is almost like real-time animation for like talking. Basically, they said they had like 10 different languages recorded. So does this JALI system like animate their mouth movements and expressions in real time based off the language that's being spoken? Because if so, that would be super cool and like evolutionary, because you look at like older video games and, you know, they're animated in one language, so even though you can play the game in maybe a different language, the mouth animations won't be in sync with the language that's being spoken or whatever, right? So I think it's really cool that if I got this right and I understand this properly, if this system does allow for like dynamic, you know, animation to, or real-time animation to voice and language and talking and stuff like that, I think that's that's super cool. Like, that's definitely revolutionary. And yeah, I guess the last thing I want to talk about is just like that scene. I don't know if I'll be able to find it here, but that scene where they were bringing out those prosthetic arms to that guy, those yellow arms. I don't know if I can find it here, but I think it's so interesting to think about, like man-made evolution, like through prosthetics and augments that can basically do everything better than our organic selves can. Like, imagine if robotic arms became available to consumers at affordable price, and it basically does everything better than your natural arm can do. No doubt in my mind that people would voluntarily just go and be like, yeah, chop off my arm and put a better one on. It's so like interesting to think about, because right now it seems like people only get prosthetics, if they're in an accident or a tragedy had occurred or something, then they get, replacement prosthetics and stuff. But I could kind of see, like, in the future, as things evolve, as things get, more perfected and more affordable, depending on, of course, everything, I could definitely see people like augmenting themselves and like replacing their body parts with like things that can do things like 200 times better. They're durable, they're stronger, you don't feel pain, stuff like that. So very interesting. Oh, okay, sorry. The very last point I wanted to talk about, I'll try to wrap this up here before I'm rambling too much, is so before Cyberpunk was ever announced, I had this idea for like, I'd say like at least 5 years before Cyberpunk was announced. I had this idea. I'm like, the coolest game, like the game that I always wanted to be created was like a game, like an open world game. I always reference like Grand Theft Auto, but I was like an open world game set in like a Neo-Tokyo cyberpunk futuristic world where there's like, cityscapes and high-rise skyscrapers with like platforms. So that's the only thing I don't see in this game, is like flying cars and stuff like that. Maybe that's a little further into the future than what this game is based. But I always pictured like fully open world, like third person Grand Theft Auto style, where you're like on the top of a city skyscraper and multiple tiers and landing platforms for like floating vehicles or flying vehicles and stuff like that. And I always thought it would like super grungy Neo-Tokyo style, and like you could upgrade your character, augment him, and like you can dive off these platforms, land on a flying vehicle's roof, like rip the vehicle roof off, hijack the car, and like fly around and stuff. So I always thought like a game like that was like my dream game. I always wanted to see a game like that come out, even though Cyberpunk isn't exactly to that concept and vision. Still super happy that a developer went this direction, finally decided to create something like this, and it just showed me that my intuition was right, that like, this is something people want. Look at how much hype is surrounded by Cyberpunk 2077, how many people, love this stuff. So for me, it's about time. And I'm so happy that CD Projekt Red is doing it, because I just recently finished playing The Witcher 3. I don't know why I didn't jump on that game earlier. It took me a few years to finally pick up the game, but yeah, I can see what everyone's talking about now. Like it's the right developer doing this. It's the right product to like. It's fully open world. Just based on comparing to like The Witcher 3, you just know this game is going to be incredibly expansive. There's going to be a ton of things to do. Just the visuals in every single gameplay trailer look absolutely incredible. They're so crisp, so sharp. It looks so good. And I can't wait for it to come out. I'm going to be streaming this game a ton on Twitch. I'm going to be creating videos. Hopefully I can, get a lot of hands-on with this game, and then hopefully I can start creating like a bunch of guides and stuff like that. But yeah, it's going to be great. I'll definitely be doing like a full story playthrough campaign. And then I'll probably reserve like kind of side missions or like bonus stuff that you can do in the game to probably like streaming in my off time. But I'll definitely do like a series of the story playthrough anyways on YouTube. Anyways, yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. Hopefully I didn't ramble on for too long, but really cool to see that was the final Nightwire that they're doing as the game's coming out December 10th. You heard it. And yeah, that's it. I'm super excited. I'm hoping to continue doing videos like this in the future on like any kind of reveals and stuff like that. So if you enjoy this type of video or this type of content, definitely be sure to leave a like or subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you think, any kind of feedback. I'm always reading the comments. I appreciate every one of you guys for tuning in and watching my videos. So anyways, with all that being said, I will catch you guys later. Thank you.